Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar about recruiting on Facebook and Instagram. I hope you can see the slides. I hope you can hear me well. I hope you can see me well. First of all, I'm going to introduce ourselves. I'm Stephanie. I'm the marketing lead at Simple, and next to me stands Steven.
Hey.
Steven is one of the founders of Simple. You can see on the right hand that you have a chat. You can ask questions during the webinar. Any questions can be asked. We're going to try to answer them immediately. And as we want to make it a bit more interactive, because I'm talking to my screen, but I know there are lots of people listening to me, we're also going to launch some polls during the webinar to make it a bit more interactive. All right, now, what is on the agenda for today? Why should you recruit on Facebook? Of course, that's why we're here. What should you pay attention to when preparing? How do you set up a campaign? Because there is some technical setup before you can actually launch a campaign on Facebook and Instagram. And how do you measure your results? Now, what is not on the agenda? We're not going to talk about free and organic recruiting on social media. We're talking about paid recruitment with a media budget behind it. Data-driven recruitment, we're not going to talk about that as well. You can find it on our website. We've already done a webinar about that topic. And then what is a great working ad? We're going to do a workshop in a couple of weeks about that specific topic. All right. Now, why should you believe us? Well, Simple provides qualified candidates, and we focus on passive candidates through targeted advertising on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and also a bit of LinkedIn. And we do this in a user-friendly process. We've built a software for that. Yes. Now, we analyze 11 million data points per month, which is a lot. Of course, I'm not doing that all by myself. There is an algorithm behind it. There is some stuff in our software that does that, that helps me with analyzing all those million data points. And here you can find some of our customers. We have SME customers, but also big enterprises, multinationals, etc. All right. Now, first of all, I'm going to launch a poll because I want to know in the audience who already done a paid recruitment campaign on Facebook and Instagram. So Steven will launch the poll. You can see it at the right in the chat. You have a section with polls.
Results are not coming in yet, so please vote.
Normally you will see can you click on polls? You go to the top. And then you have to, yeah.
There we go. Almost 60% has not published the campaign at this point in time.
Okay.
Some of you have already done it, but most of you haven't.
All right. So that's good news because I will talk about how you have to set it up. Now, if I talk about Facebook, Facebook Ads Manager, it's not only the placement Facebook, but it's also Instagram, Messenger, and Audience Network. Audience Network is a network from Facebook, from websites, from applications where your advertisement will show as well. Now, why should you recruit on Facebook? Well, 20% of the job seekers is actively looking for a job. They're looking at Google, they're looking at LinkedIn, at some job boards. But 80% of the working population is not actively looking for a job. And you have to find them where they are every single day. And they are every single day on Facebook and Instagram. On average, a person scrolls about 160 meters a day on Facebook and Instagram, which is a lot. And it's up to you to pop out with your vacancy advertisement on these platforms. All right. Now, before you can start with setting up your campaign, there are some marketing recruitment basics that you need to know before you can actually start. First of all, a funnel. What is a funnel? This is actually a visualization of your process, of your recruitment process. So you have the recruitment funnel where you have an application, people apply for your vacancy, then you have the selection process, which is different in every company. And then, well, hopefully you come to a hire. But before the recruitment funnel, you have the marketing funnel, because you want to attract people and you want that they land on your vacancy. Now, how do you do that? Is you have the discover phase, which is really, really general and really broad. You can show an article about this sector, about the job function, but you will not show the vacancy advertisement, the specific vacancy advertisement yet. In the engage phase, you will show some advertisement about, are you up for next opportunity in your career? Are you looking for a job? But you will not show the vacancy yet. It's in the attract phase, where you will focus on the narrow targeted audience, and you will show your specific vacancy. So the specific job function, your company, the location where they will be working, etc. Now, both of them are linked to each other, and it is important to have a visualization of whole the recruitment and the marketing funnel, so you know where to optimize if something goes wrong, or if you don't have enough applications to come eventually to a hire. All right, now there is some things that you need to prepare before you can actually start building your campaign. First of all, you have to define your target audience. What we recommend is, because Facebook Ads Manager, there are lots of selections that you need to do. There are lots of setups. Before you actually dive into Facebook Ads Manager, we recommend to think about the perfect target audience before you dive into Ads Manager. So what is the profile? What does the profile look like? What are the hard skills? What are the soft skills? What is the required degree? What do they need to do? Where are they living? What is their age, etc., etc. And then you can start digging into Facebook Ads Manager. First of all, you have to define the location. If you select, for example, if you're looking for somebody in Firenze, then you can choose Firenze as a location to target, and you have to choose a radius around Firenze. We recommend to choose on average 20 kilometers around the location, because of course you don't want to have drive a lot to get to your job. Then the second one are the interests. You can choose of about more than 10 million interests on Facebook. These are all interests that Facebook know that people like. So it's not only like the pages that people like on Facebook and Instagram, but it's also the behavior on the internet as a whole. So Facebook has a lot of data. And if you choose one interest, for example, the audience has to be interested in marketing, then Facebook will give you some suggestions. Maybe they also need to be interested in digital marketing or in Facebook Ads Manager, etc. But then the third one is the most important one, and this is data. Facebook loves data, so do we at Simple. And if you've never done a Facebook recruitment campaign, then it's important that you generate lots of data, which you can, so the algorithm of Facebook knows who he has to target. I'm talking about about Facebook, but it can also be a she or it. We're not gender preferenced or anything. So we at Simple, we generated more than 6,000 recruitment campaigns, so we already have a lot of data. And Steven will show you how we do it in our software.
Now, while I do it at the same time in the chat, I will send you a URL if you would want to try our software yourselves. Now, what we see here in our software, we have a targeting screen, and it's already going right now. But where we help you on selecting the main components. So first of all, what type of function? Is it a finance function? Is it a marketing function? You can easily target it. Second of all, you can immediately add the years of experience. Is this a function where you need no experience or some experience or a lot of experience? Language, of course. And then at the bottom, you see the location and a radius around the location. Now, we've opted to make it very simple for our customers, but behind the scenes, once you select a certain function and a certain experience, we behind the scenes, we're making targeting groups based on studies, based on the function itself or similar functions, so that we help you in making populations that you can talk to that are much more apt or much closer to the persons you're looking for, instead of just showing your ad to just anyone. So we think Facebook sometimes is like a nuclear physics. We think it's sometimes a bit overcomplicated, and we've tried to make it a lot simpler so that our customers can do complicated targeting with a couple of clicks.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed, because these are all things that you can't define on Facebook Ads Manager. You can't say, I'm looking for someone in production with 3 or 5 years of experience. But we in our software made it easier for you to target the defined and the right audience. All right. I don't know if there's any questions. Please don't hesitate to ask them. You can interrupt me during the presentation. All right. Now, once you've defined your target audience, it is important to look at the competition. It can give you some inspiration about how your advertisement will look like. Now, it is important that you don't look at the competition of your company, because Facebook is a bidding platform and you're competing against the competition that also want to reach the same audience as you. And this is important to know, because you're competing against the company that is also targeting your audience. Now, what is a useful tool? Well, we have Facebook Ads Library, and I will go immediately live to show you. Just a second. Let me see. Yes. So here you see Facebook Ads Library, and you can type in any company and you will see the ads that they are running today. It can give you some inspiration about how your ad needs to look like. So maybe in the chat, which kind of company do you want me to look for? You can say any company, and I will see if they run advertisement. You can type it in the chat if you want to. Let's see. If not, I will type in a company myself. Let's say Neuhaus, because in Belgium, we're based in Belgium, in Antwerp, and we love chocolate. All right. So here you can see how many likes they have on Facebook. You can see their followers on Instagram, and then you can see all the advertisements that they are running today, that they launched in September. You can see that they're running it on Facebook, on Instagram, on Audience Network and Messenger. You can see the copy, you can see the visuals, you can see the call to actions as well. So that can give you some inspiration to actually create your advertisements. Okay, I will go back to your presentation again. Let me see. There you go. All right. Now, like I already said, we've done over 6,000 recruitment campaigns, and of course, we do have some learnings about what is working best on Facebook, and I want to share with you some of our learnings. First of all, use authentic pictures. This is so important, because, I mean, you can search for stock images on the internet, but they're not authentic. And Facebook will know that you're using stock images and not real pictures that you took yourself. You don't have to hire a professional photographer. You can just take them with your mobile, because if you see it on Facebook feed, you see also pictures of your friends, of your family, etc. And you don't want to make it advertisement like real advertisement, like a TV commercial. Or publicity in the streets or something. No, it has to be real, and it has to show where the people are going to work, maybe a picture of the team, a picture of the office, a picture of an after work. These are all things that are working well for recruitment campaigns. Then the second one is use uniform communication. What do I mean by that? Well, you will see that these are advertisements on the slides, which we did for some of our clients. And you see that we use always the logo of our clients, of the company that they are going to work for. And then you will see that we use the same colors, the same branding colors as the logo itself. What is also important, if you use the logo and if you use your branding colors on the advertisement, that you also use the same colors on your vacancy page. Because what some people don't know is that Facebook will not only see at the performance of your advertisement, but you will also look at the vacancy itself. So this uniform communication is important for your performance of your recruitment campaign. And then the third one, you can search on the internet for some best practices of Facebook itself. Now, what we see and what we've learned is that you have to test everything. We love A/B testing. I will explain it to you later on. But if Facebook says, for example, you have to use video because it's really working well, we give you the advice to test everything. It can give you inspiration, but if you have several pictures, if you have a video, well, just put them in Ads Manager and see the results coming in after a couple of days. All right. Then the dimensions of the visuals. This is also really important because you have newsfeed and stories. Before you had several placements and you had to have different dimensions for every visual. Facebook is making it a lot more easier these days, and you have now 2 different sizes, one for stories and one for newsfeed. It is important to keep in mind when you upload the pictures, it needs to be done correctly in the right dimensions. Now, how do we do it in our software? Well, Steven, will you explain it?
Well, again, in our software, we try to combine everything and make it simple for our customers. So first of all, we let you write a text. We give you some advice about the length of the text. You can immediately see it on the right side, the text you've written. Now, no ad works with text only. You also need pictures. You can easily select them from your own drive and upload them. Again, you will see them quite instantly on the right side. You can add sort of a slogan, which is important to catch people's attention. And not to forget, Facebook, Instagram has several sizes of pictures. So we let you crop. For some, it's vertically. For some, it's more a square. But we help you immediately to make the right decisions. Now, the picture itself has been cropped now, but we can debate if it is the right picture. So sometimes you can also want to test more than one picture. We have the picture of the chair. Cropping is quite hard, it seems. Is it a good picture? Maybe it's not. So we can add another one. We have Gunter. Might work much better to look for a new barista in Central Perk. So, but in one page, we let you decide on what text you want. We'll give you recommendations about the length. You can decide on what you do. Is it apply now or click here? You can decide on colors. You can add a slogan. You can test multiple pictures all on one page in our software.
Yes. Like Steven already said, we love A/B testing. If you have several pictures, then just throw them in our software and our software will make A/B test of it. Now, what is actually a A/B test? It's actually a test that you run, and it's important that you only have one variable difference. So here, for example, you have 2 pictures and the job function is the same, the call to action is the same, the copy is the same, but the picture is slightly different. Now, we're going to launch a poll because I want to know which one do you think worked the best. So we launched them both where we're looking for a sales consultant for Leerstock, which was one of our clients in Denze. It's a city in Belgium. We put them live at the same time because this is also important. Now, which one do you think worked best?
Still counting, but it's kind of like the elections in Japan or Germany, and I don't know if it was the same result. In Germany, it is the left that is winning with a bigger margin than in Germany over the right. So the left has won the poll.
All right. Well, this was actually correct because after a couple of days, we saw that the left one had much more applications and the cost per application was also cheaper than the one on the right. Now, we thought actually that the one on the right would work better because it was more fun. You see the face mask. It's unfortunately the world that we're living in right now. But we put them both live, and after 3-4 days, we already saw the results coming in. And the left one worked best and performed best. So we put more budget on the left one. All right. So it is important, that you test everything. This is an important one. And you can also test it with videos. Here you can see some video examples that we did for our clients. You see that they take up the whole mobile. This is also important because if people are scrolling on their mobile, you want to pop out with your vacancy. And that's why the dimensions of the visuals are really important if you make advertisements for Facebook and Instagram. And what is important with videos, that you attract the audience in the first 2 or 3 seconds. They need to stop scrolling. They need to have a look at your video. So this is also important to keep in mind. Now, all right, so you've defined your target audience, you made your advertisement, you wrote your copy, and then you have to set up your campaign. Now, I'm not going to go live in Facebook Ads Manager because it will take us a bit too long, but I want to show you how it's actually built. How do you have to set up your campaign? So first of all, you have your campaign level. In this section, you have to define your objective of your campaign. If you want as many clicks as possible, then you're going to choose for traffic. But if you have to want as much as conversions possible, then you're going to choose for a conversion. Now, it is important that you set up everything technical correctly. I will talk about the Facebook pixel a bit later in the webinar, but this is important that you have to define your objective in the campaign level. Now, under the campaign level, you have the ad set level. There you have to define your audience. You have to define the channels because Facebook will automatically choose all the channels. So Facebook feed, Instagram stories, Messenger inbox, audience network, all the channel that Facebook provides. But we also recommend to separate them, to test also which one is working best. So you have one ad set, for example, for Facebook feed and one ad set for Instagram stories. So you will immediately know which one is working best for your audience. And then the last thing that you have to define is your budget. Of course, this is also an important thing that you can have for your budget, of course. And then under the ad set level, you have the advertisement itself. This is what the audience will actually see. Here you have to write your copy. You have to upload your visuals. Maybe you also want to test the video. And it is important to know that these are not one-on-one relations. We always make one campaign with several ad sets underneath and with several ads. Because, I mean, I hope you already know by now, we love A/B testing because we want to make the best performing ads possible for our customers. All right. Now, what defines the cost at Facebook? First of all, it's a bidding platform. You're bidding against the competition for your audience. And you can also define a cost cap. This is also important. If you say, for example, I want that one application costs maximum 15 euros, then you can define it also in Facebook Ads Manager. But the bidding is one thing that, of course, defines your cost. Then the second one are the estimated action rates. Now, what is this? This is a bit of a black box of Facebook. Facebook will look at the performance of your Facebook ad account, but also at the performance of your Facebook profile, of your Facebook page. For example, if someone asks something in the chat in Messenger at your company, what is the time till you react to it? These are all estimated action rates that Facebook gives you. Unfortunately, you don't know your rate. You don't know I have like 98% or whatever. But this is also something to keep in mind, that Facebook will have a look at your Facebook page, Facebook ad account, how were your previous campaigns, etc. And then the third one is user value, because of course Facebook is a bidding platform, but people are scrolling on it in their spare time, and you want to give them some value. So Facebook will also look if you show some advertisement to your audience, does it give value to them? Do they click on it? So these three things are important, and it will define your costs. If you've already done some campaigns in the past, then your cost will, of course, be lower than when it's your first time that you run a campaign. This is also an advantage if you work with us, because we've already done lots of campaigns for different functions, and we gathered lots of data. So the cost will also be less when instead of when you run your first campaign in your Facebook Ads Manager itself. Now, how much media budget do you have to provide before you can actually launch your campaign? Well, we at Simple, we've made a financial Facebook formula. Stephen will also provide a link in the chat. You can have a look at it. And there are 3 questions that you need to answer before the formula will calculate the budget that you have to provide. The first one is, how many applicants do you need to get to 1 hire? Then the second one is, what is a conversion on the vacancy page? Now, here you see an example of a conversion rate. So for example, if you have 1,250 visitors on your vacancy page and 50 applications, then you have a conversion rate of 4%. This is really, really high. But it is important to keep in mind if there are all qualitative candidates, because if the audience is off target, then you're nothing with a high conversion rate. It's important to keep that in mind. And then the third one is, what is the conversion of your Facebook ad? If you have a strong brand, if you have nice visuals, if you have a nice video, if your copy is attractive, etc., then the conversion rate of your Facebook ad will be higher than if you have poor pictures, if you use stock images, if your brand isn't really strong in the location that you're targeting. So these are 3 questions that you need to answer, and then the formula will calculate the budget that you need to provide. So I would recommend to have a look at it before you can actually start your campaigns. And then the last one, because you're using a media budget, you want, of course, get the most out of it. And you have to measure everything so that you can optimize your campaign where you should. Now, what we use for that is a Facebook pixel. I just want to ask the audience who already has installed the Facebook pixel on their website and who knows what the Facebook pixel is. Let's see. You can find the poll on the right.
10 people answered so far.
Mm-hmm.
Going up, going up. It seems like, let's say 1/3, no, 40% have already installed it. No, it's 1/3. It's it's changing. It's 30% now. I'll keep it at that. 30% already installed the Facebook pixel.
Okay.
But most of you are wondering what the hell it is.
All right. So the Facebook pixel is actually a piece of code that you have to install on your website. So it will keep all the data points that your visitor takes on your website. It's all GDPR approved, but of course you have to mention it in your privacy policy of your website that you installed the Facebook pixel. Now, how you have to install it, I'm not going to explain it into detail because it is a bit of technical setup, but you have access, you received access to our software, and there you can find the Academy where you can find the data-driven white paper, and there you can read how do you have to install the Facebook pixel. Now, why is it so important? Well, 3 things. First of all, retargeting. Because people are scrolling on Facebook, they come on your vacancy page and they think, oh, I'm not going to apply today, I don't have time for it or whatever. Then it is important to retargeting with some advertisement of your vacancy again, so that you be top of mind in their in your targeted audience. That is one thing. And then the other thing is you have to track conversions. What we do at Simple is when people apply on our vacancy pages, then they have to fill in an interactive chatbot, they get a questionnaire, they have to fill it in, and then they come on a thank you page. On this thank you page, the Facebook pixel is fired, and this data is Facebook will know that an application has been done. And it is important to set it up correctly. So please read our Facebook, our data-driven white paper about it, because it will explain you everything into detail. And then the third one, and this is also the power of Facebook, you can build audiences with the Facebook pixel. For example, Once you've defined your perfect target audience, you can make a lookalike audience of it. And what is a lookalike audience? It's a similar audience of your custom audience, the audience that you've made, but it's just to broaden your target audience so that you will reach more people that are likely to apply for your vacancy. So I would really, really recommend to install the Facebook Pixel already. If you're not doing Facebook campaigns yet, it is important to install it beforehand so that Facebook already has some data about your website before you can actually launch your campaigns. Now, what are some other useful tools that we recommend is, first of all, Google Analytics. Google Analytics is also a piece of code that you have to install on your website. It will also track all the things that visitors do on your website. For example, how many pages do they visit? How long do they stay on your website? It will give you some more insights about how good your website actually is. And then how you link everything. Well, we use Google Tag Manager. Google Tag Manager is a platform where you can set up all the pixels, all the events, all the conversions. You can set it all up in Google Tag Manager. It's a useful tool, but it's important to set it up correctly before you can actually launch your campaign, because of course you want to track everything correctly. And then what we also love at Simple is Google Data Studio. Google Data Studio is also a platform of Google. These are all free tools, by the way. And Google Data Studio, you can build your own dashboards, you can build your own graphs with all the data that Google Analytics or the Facebook Pixel provides you. All right, now I know it's a lot to keep in mind before you can actually start your recruitment campaign, but we at Simple, we've launched a software where you don't have to think about the Facebook Pixel, where you don't have to install Google Analytics. Our tool will do it for you. Sibyl will show you how you have to, he will show you our software. Just a second, I will stop sharing. Yes.
All right, and this is the part I'm most scared of. Thanks again, Mark, for bailing out on me 15 minutes before the start. But we will make the best of it. No, I'm just kidding. Well, actually not. But first of all, so for our tool, we'll send you the links afterwards, and I've already done it in the chat. But the first thing you have to do is register, which is actually pretty easy. You type in your email, you type in your, and I hope you can see it all right. You type in your first name and your last name. I noticed, and I'm sorry for our English viewers, I noticed that it's in Dutch because I'm in a Dutch browser. But once you log on in English, everything is in English, so it's not all Dutch based. Luckily, you type in your first name, your last name, you type in your function title, your company, you choose a password, and then you go to the next step. Now, what is the next step? Well, when you go to the next step, and I will quickly change my screen here. When you go to the next step, you will come in our tool. Now, in our tool, you will land on a dashboard, and actually we're live in our production tool now, where you see for your function only, I see it for a lot of customers, but for your function only, how many impressions do you have so far? If you have to start, it will be 0. How much budget you've spent, if you have to start, it will be 0, and how many applicants there are. At the same time, you see all your latest applications, and I'll show you more in detail, but you have a dashboard where you see your latest applications, people you've sent you messages, the different campaigns that are running. Now, this is handy, especially when you have multiple campaigns. In one view, you can see your performance, you can see your candidates, you can see the messages your candidates are sharing to you. But also, for every function itself, on the left here, you can select the specifics of that function. We've talked about Barista. I'll go into it again. So you could select it here. And I shouldn't have done that, but that's all right. I will go for the Barista function again. So here you select one function, and underneath you have all the info of that function. Getting started, if you need to set up stuff, we'll show you the things that have been done. They're marked in red and they're striped, the things you still have to do. And then underneath, you have every component. We've talked about the advertising. Well, this is where you see the advertising. It should be there in a minute. You recognize the wanted barista with the typical French chair. You can also see that we want to test more than one variant. They're all in here. Gunter is here, luckily. What would France be without him? You see the text, you see the apply now, everything you type in here. Are you a true coffee addict? Are you not? You will see on the right that it is immediately updated. So it's a bit what you see is what you get. The targeting we've talked about, we try to make it really simple because targeting is really important, but it's really hard to do it live on Facebook. So we've made it simple. With a couple of clicks, we give you access to very complex targeting that is actually user and profile based. Your vacancy page, also important. When you want to look for a barista, you have to explain what it is, but we will guide you through a format where we think you have to explain the most important things. What will you do as a barista? What will Central Perk expect of you? What can they offer you? A bit about the company, all with pictures that you can update yourself, and everywhere with the apply buttons so that you can help people in applying immediately. And here again, as in all other things, you can do it yourself and you can do it immediately, and you will immediately see the result. Application form, we think that's very important. We have sets of questions that you can choose from so that you can ask the right questions to your candidates for every function. But also very important, you can add questions yourself so that you can say, but for when I have applicants, I always like to know whether they do active sports, whatever. You could ask it, you could add it so that you also have that information when people apply. Social media tab actually shows you the performance of your campaign. Since we're not live, or since the barista function is not live, you don't see anything here yet. But here you will see, and you see a bit, and I'll try to make it a bit bigger. Here continuously, you will see the number of impressions your campaign has had, the number of visits to your vacancy page, the number of applications. On top, you see also the number of applications, the spent, your total budget, and on the bottom you actually see ad per ad the performance, and that's also what is used as the base of our algorithm that continuously updates campaigns. And then I think most importantly, you immediately also see the result of your campaign. Which candidates are active for this function? Again, this function is not live anymore, but here, and I'll make it a bit bigger, here you continually see who applied. Ross applied. Who do we think is interesting? Chandler, Phoebe, and Monica. Who are you discussing with? Well, we're actually discussing with Rachel and Joey. And then also you can, you see it's kind of a Kanban board, and you see the cards. But when you click on the card, you will see all the details of that, of those persons, their phone numbers, the messages they've sent, the resume they've sent to you. You also see, if you're with multiple people in one organization, you can also see who worked in the past on that candidate and what did your colleague exactly do. So for us, we think we see recruiting as a whole, or we see sourcing as a whole process, starting with impressions, making people know, making passive candidates know that the function is up for application, but it ends into applications that you can screen immediately in the tool. We think end-to-end because that gives the best results. I think I'll go over to Stephanie again. And
okay, I just shared the link in the chat already, so you can take a look at our software. It's completely free to register. Of course, if you launch your first recruitment campaign, you have to provide some media budget. But we do have some good news today for you, because if you start your campaign before Tuesday, then we actually will provide you some extra media budget of €50 for free, so you can set up your first recruitment campaign on Facebook and Instagram. Like we already said, Facebook Ads Manager is a bit difficult if you don't have any marketing experience, but thanks to our software, you can set it up easily without having any marketing know-how. It will continuously A/B test several things. It will test audiences, placements, visuals that you upload. You don't have to think about how you have to analyze it. No, our algorithm will do it for you, and you have full clarity on your budget. If you find you're higher, you can stop the budget immediately, etc. All right. We've come to the end of our webinar. If you have still some more questions, you can ask them right now. If not, I think everything was clear then, or I hope everything was clear. We're going to launch 2 more polls. I just want to know if it was useful for you guys and which webinar we have to do next time about which topic. Now, if you still have some more questions, when you read our white paper or when you see the recordings of our webinar, you can always send us an email or send us a private message on LinkedIn. We're also going to send you the recordings. We're going to send you, again, the link to our software so you can have a look at that. And next week, we're doing the same webinar. If you provide 3 more HR people for that webinar, you can actually win a one-on-one session with one of our campaign experts to set up your first campaign for free, where we will help you to set it up correctly. All right, no more questions? Okay, all right. Then we're going to close the webinar for today. Thank you for joining us. Please keep an eye on our socials. On LinkedIn, we always publish some new webinars, some new workshops. So I hope to see you again in the future.
Steph,
yeah.
we might have a question. I saw somebody typing.
Okay.
Raluca from Happy Recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
She's typing again. This is drum roll.
No pressure, but
Raluca, I appreciate the thanks. You're very welcome, and actually it's more Steph than me, but we thank you to be present here. Same to you, Beatrice.
Thank you, everyone, and see you next time.
All right.
Bye-bye. Have a nice week.
Bye.